welcome back. I am really excited to film today. I feel like I've been waiting all week to film, so I'm just really excited. Today we are going to be using a professional makeup brand. I really like this makeup artist. He does JLo's makeup, and Tati Beauty has raved about him. She's even had him on her channel as a guest, and I thought we could use some of his makeup. Some of these products are new to me, but some of them are not. If you haven't guessed it by now, we are going to be playing with some BARNES makeup palettes. So I've got this blush palette that's stunning, the Sculpting and Contour palette, the Glowy and Showy palette. I've got his Snatural eyeshadow palette. He does have a more colorful one, but at the time that I purchased this, I was not into color. So we're going to use this natural one. And then I also picked up his bronzer in the shade Sicilian Sun. And during holiday, he had this little kit of lip glosses. So I did purchase these. And we are going to just play with all of the BARNES makeup that I have. Obviously, I don't have everything he's launched, but I do have a good selection here. And I'm really excited to start dabbling in it. Before we get into it, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me and really help me out. Other than that, let's get going. So I did go ahead and put on some primer. I used my Tarte Smoothing Primer, and I also used my NYX Marshmallow Primer. And now that I'm feeling pretty tacky here, I'm going to go into the Sculpting palette. Again, this is what it looks like. So it's got a lot of different shades for contouring and sculpting. And what BARNES likes to do is put on the contour shade before his foundation. So we are going to try that technique. I have never done it, so bear with me. But you can tell, like, there are some warmer shades, and that's more for like bronzing. So we are going to use one of these cooler tones. I'm thinking Diced might be the best shade for me. I'm going to go in with this Patrick Ta contouring brush. This is like amazing for contouring. Contouring is meant to be the shadow, so I am going to put it on pretty heavily because our foundation will go on over it. But I am also going to be putting it in that hollow of where my cheek is. This way it will really create a shadow here and like sculpt your face out. I'm not a huge contouring person. Like, I might use a cooler tone color, but I've never done it like under my foundation, and I typically put bronzer over it, so it kind of defeats the purpose of using the cooler shade, but it's fun to try. And I'm doing it pretty heavy so the foundation will blend on top of it. But he also does like under the jaw to really snatch your jaw. So I am going to try that. Now I'm going to go in with foundation. This is my go-to foundation right now. It's the Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint. I have been loving this foundation. And I'm just going to be using my Rare Beauty foundation brush. And we're going to apply. And I'm going to go around the contour right now so I can put most of the pigment everywhere else. That way it doesn't completely fade away. Now that I've got most of my foundation on, I have a little bit left on my hand, and I'm going to go in with my sponge and pick that up and just blend everything in. And now I'm going to go over the contour. I still may have gone in a little too heavy-handed on it, but I was really scared that the foundation was going to cover it completely. So I'm just blending right now to hopefully tone it down. And I mean, I can see it pretty clearly that there are some shadows there where my natural hollows are in my cheek. It looks pretty intense on camera, but it doesn't look that intense in my mirror. I don't know, you'll have to let me know if I overdid it or if there's a better way to contour before your foundation. Like, if you're a pro at the under contour thing, give me some techniques, please. I did go ahead and do my concealer and powdered my face. I used my Jouer Essential Concealer because it's my all-time favorite, and my Givenchy Prisme Libre. I think that's how it's pronounced, but it's the Givenchy powder, which is amazing. Next, we're going to go into bronzer, and because we used the Sculpting and Contour palette to do that under contour thing, I'm going to use the bronzer that I got during the holiday sale and see how this works. I will say I did swatch it a little bit. The gold, the sun, is kind of freaking me out, but it is just like an overlayer. So, but it's gold. Like it comes off as gold, so I'm a little nervous. And I'm gonna try to like dab on the sides over here to hopefully not pick up so much gold. There's quite a bit of gold on the brush. We'll try it though. Definitely a golden sheen, but it's not terrible. Yeah, definitely a golden sheen, but it's actually applying really smooth. Like, I don't know if it's a mixture of the Givenchy powder and this powder, but my face looks really smooth where that bronzer's laying down. And I am applying the bronzer on my cheekbone rather than in that hollow, because that hollow is where we put the contour shade, and I still want to be able to see that. And you can also see, like, I've been dabbing over here, but like that part of the gold is gone now completely. So it is an overlay if you're interested. Wow, even being so pale with it being winter, like, this is a really good shade for me. I'm impressed that I did so well on this shade match. There's only 2 options, and I don't remember why I picked this particular color, but it's working out very nicely. And I'm going to skip under my jaw because we did put contour there. I didn't go as heavy with the contour under my jaw there, but I did want to do a little bit, and I'm feeling pretty confident with that area. So I'm going to skip the bronzer under my jaw, but I am highly impressed. This is one of the products I haven't used yet, but I can tell this is probably going to be a new favorite. It's also probably going to be really fun for the summer because with that gold overlayer, at least now, like, you're kind of getting a little shimmer. But for summer, that's going to be really fun. Next, we're going to go into the blush palette. There's a lot of different options. And then I've heard quite a bit that this bright pink and this kind of orangey shade kind of scare people. And they do kind of scare me too. But I've also come to realize they're very much for mixing. So you don't have to be scared of those colors. They're meant to mix with all of the other ones. Minimalist is my favorite shade to go into for this palette. But I'm kind of feeling a little more spontaneous, so I'm thinking of going into this shade, which is called Sweet Cheeks, and I'm just going to apply it right here. If you haven't worked with Scott Barnes products, especially these powders, they are pigmented, so I'm trying not to pick up a whole lot because they blend out super nicely. And this palette also has 2 topper shades that are more shimmery. But because I've also got the highlight palette, I'm not going to add one of those because if I added the bronzer with that glowy gold sheen to it, plus a glowy topper on the blush and a highlight, I think I'd be a little too glowy for my preferences. So I'm just going to go in with the matte blush for now. And then I'm going to take my sponge and just go over top of it. I think on this right side I got a little heavy-handed. And then the highlight palette is actually called the Glowy and Showy palette. And I have dipped into this one quite a bit. It is very, very fun to play with. These 2 shades are not my favorite. This one's definitely very bronze and this one's definitely very gold. So I tend to go with some of the lighter shades in here. But again, Scott Barnes likes to mix things, so that's why they're in the palette. And I think today I'd like to make this shade, which is called Twilight, with this shade, which is called Pink Crush. So I mean, it's just boop 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 boop, and we're going to apply to the high points of the cheek, and you have a super nice, beautiful glow. I'm trying not to be super heavy-handed, but sometimes it gets away from me. So I am just going to blend all of that in with my sponge a little bit more. I did prime my eyes with the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion just in the original formula. And now we're going to go into the Snatural palette. And this is what it looks like. So it is definitely very neutral, but you do have warm and cool tones. I think to start off though, we are going to go into this shade, which is called Foxy. I'm going to start by patting this into my crease area so I can build up the pigment first. So it's very pigmented and it's making my eyelid look super smooth. Once I've got my pigment down, I'm just going to take the brush and do some circular motions to help blend everything out. I'm very impressed with this formula. I've used this eyeshadow multiple times and every time I'm just in shock because I forget about it and then I put it on my face again and it's like, oh, this is a really good eyeshadow palette. Why don't you use it very often? I'm just going to take that same brush. I wiped off the pigment on just a regular hand towel that's dry, and I'm going to go into this shade, which is called Muted, and I'm just going to place that on top of that Foxy shade so I can kind of transition it a bit more. The nice thing about this palette is that he did include quite a few transitional shades, so it's not like you're searching too hard for this palette. It's very straightforward, but you can also be very creative with it. I'm trying to decide on a shimmer shade to pick from because he's got these really cool reddish shimmers, and he's also got some of these cooler tone shimmers, and then this bronzy shade really has my interest piqued, but I don't know which color to use. I think that's what I'm going to do is go into this more bronzy shade. It's the shade Hollywood. And just like any other formula, I'm going to use my finger to apply it. And I'm just going to go on the lid. I'm going to take a flat brush just to get it all the way into this inner corner here. And then I'm going to go back into my fluffy brush and just go around the edge to help blend it so it's not such a harsh shimmer matte line. And because I do have like this maroon shirt on, I'm thinking of adding this Siren shade just to the center of the lid to help draw that color out of my shirt to my eyes. And I'm just placing it in the center of the lid because I don't want it to overtake the entire bronzy shade that we laid down first. But I like that layered, and it does really bring out some of the red in my shirt. Now I'm going to take a small blending brush and I'm going to go into the shade Foxy and put that on the lower lash line. The nice thing about this palette is that even though I've been messing with the shimmers, there is very, very little fallout. Like compared to a Natasha Denona shimmer, this is very minimal. And to finish up the eyes, I'm going to go into this shade, which is called Angelic, and we're going to use it as an inner corner highlight. This shade does have a little bit of a pink reflect in it, but it is the lightest shade in the palette, and I think it's pretty. And I think I'm pretty happy with this eye look. So I'm going to put on some mascara, and then I'm actually going to do my eyebrows with you today because we can use that contour and sculpting palette to do the eyebrows. So to do our eyebrows, I'm thinking of going into this shade, which is called Sculpt, because I do have darker brown eyebrows. And I've just got this little angled brush type thing. So it's from Morphe. Does not have a number on it. And I am not typically a person to use powder in my eyebrows. I typically use like a tinted gel. But I have seen Tati do her eyebrows this way. So I figured since we've got the palettes, why not give it a go? So I'm just going to brush my brows up so they're not so crazy. And then I do have a clear brow gel that we can set them with. I'm probably not going to talk a lot through this because I've never done it. So just bear with me. Well, I think they turned out better than I expected. I didn't end up mixing some shades, so I did use this Sculpt shade, but I ended up mixing it with this Snatch shade. This one was just a little too cool tone for me, so I ended up mixing this a little bit warmer one in. And then I do have the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter in clear. So I'm just going to set my brows with this. Alright, let's finish up with the lips. I have 5 different lip glosses that I purchased in like a holiday palette. So I'm just going to do some swatches for you real fast. That is the shade French Vanilla. So it's very nude, it's not completely clear, but it's mostly clear. Next is the shade Opulence. This is exactly how the name is. Very opal. It's got a pink shift to it. Not a whole lot of pigment, but lots of sparkle in there. Next we have Diamonds, which is exactly how it sounds. It's clear with the silvery specks in it to make it look like a diamond color. Next we have Gilded. It's a little more gold. Very similar to Diamonds, but with a gold reflect in it. So I don't know what Gilded is compared to the shade, but definitely more gold. And last but not least is the shade. It's called Gold Flaked, which basically is a clear gloss, but it's got chunky flakes in it that reflect gold. They're all super pretty. I'm most interested in this first shade. It's called French Vanilla, but they're basically toppers, I think. Okay, I just applied a brown lip liner, and now I'm going to go into the shade French Vanilla. These glosses are very different. It's actually a brush. It's not like a doe foot applicator. Definitely going to be very neutral. And that's the gist of it. I'm glad I put on a lip liner. Ooh. Can you see the strings? Not a fan of that, but that could be on me where I applied too much, but now as I'm talking, I can't stop staring at the strings. So here is our finished look. I am actually really happy with how it turned out. I love Scott Barnes products. Again, I've had these palettes for quite a while and I just don't use them a lot often. So I figured with some new products that I purchased over Christmas time that it was time to do as much of a full face with Scott Barnes as I possibly could. Again, I don't have all of his products though. Like, he's got a mascara that's super popular. He's got body bling that's really popular. He's got different lip products that I've heard are really good too. He's just got an array of things. Eyelashes for sure. I know those are popular. I don't have everything, but this is what I did have, and I just really wanted to play with his makeup again, and I had a really fun time doing it. I will say the stringiness in the lip gloss has gone away. I think maybe it was just after first application I might have applied too much, and now that it's kind of settled where it's going to go, it's not doing that anymore. So that's good. But my thoughts about Scott Barnes are just good things. I love his products. I think I have a new favorite bronzer that I was not prepared for. The gold in this bronzer really scared me, but now after applying it, this is probably going to be a new favorite. But that's the gist of the video. I would love to hear your thoughts about your take on Scott Barnes makeup. 1, have you tried it? 2, do you love it as much as I do? Or do you have critiques about it? I would love to know what your thoughts are about his brand. But that is all I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. If you want to be notified every time I post a video, hit the bell and select all in your preferences and you will be notified. I'm here on Tuesdays and Fridays, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.